Shabbat Shalom. So nice to be with you tonight for Shabbat Shira. We have some surprises in store for you, and we have some things that you've grown to count on. Hopefully a nice mixture of both. I'm happy to be here with my colleagues Don and Molly and Olivia, and with all of you. Some members of the choir are here tonight, as this has been our annual celebration and time to honor the choirs. They began they debuted at Shabbat Shira 6 years ago. How many years ago? 6, 7, 6. 6 years ago. All right, we're going to move on from that then. So we're going to do a little Chatterfall. Some of you may have been at services a couple of weeks ago where we did it for the first time. A Chatterfall is an opportunity for us to fill our screens with the chat and to all participate in something at the same time. So I'm going to invite you to put in the chat, but do not hit enter until I say so. Put in the chat your favorite Jewish song. Now, it could be any favorite Jewish song. It can be from the prayer book. It can be from a holiday. It could be from a movie. It could be something your grandmother taught you. It could be anything at all. Your favorite Jewish song, put it in the chat, but don't hit enter. Someone didn't listen. All right, so this is Shabbat Shira. So we are going to fill our screen with songs. So, all right, ready? 3, 2, 1, enter. Thank you. Some really wide-ranging favorites, so thank you for that. As I said before, Shabbat Shira, when we read from the Torah, the Song of the Sea, the crossing of the sea after we are redeemed from slavery in Egypt. And we'll come back to that theme a bit later on. Meanwhile, we will begin with Hine Matov. How nice is it for all of us to be together? Hine Matov on page 10. I hope you got a chance to look at all the songs in the chat. We go from things like Dinosaur Knocking on My Door to Avinu Malkeinu. So there's a wide range of songs. We turn now to Judy Scheffler, who's a member of our choir. Also, it was her birthday this week. So happy birthday, Judy. And Judy will lead us in lighting of Shabbat candles. If you have them nearby, please join along with Judy.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
We continue by welcoming the angels with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mimelech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mimelech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Turn back in our prayer books to page 12 for Lachuna Ranana. Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Adonai. Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Lachuna Ranana, Adonai. Naria, Naria, Letzor Yishenu מקדמיו פניו בתודה. נריע נריע לצור ישנו, בזמירות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה על אדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה על אדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה על אדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה על אדוני.
So because of the current situation, unfortunately, Rodef Shira cannot be together in person. However, we're together for our next setting from Psalms, which is Shir Chadash from Psalm 96. I'm so proud. We continue by welcoming the beauty of Shabbat, the Shabbat bride, with Lachadodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And we'll have slides so you can follow along right here on your screen. Ay, 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 Lachadodi, ay, 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 Likat Kala, ay, 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 Penny Shabbat, ay, 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 Nekabela, ay, 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 Lachadodi, ay, 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 Likat Kala, ay, 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 Penny Shabbat, ay, 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 Nekabela, Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemu l'tiferet v'litila, ay, 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 Lechadodi, ay, 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 Likrat Kala, ay, 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 Penei Shabbat, ay, 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 Nekabela, Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikeden nesucha, ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לי כת חלה, איי 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 פני שבת, איי 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 נקבלה, איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לי כת חלה, איי 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 פני שבת, איי 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 נקבלה.
Let's take a moment to greet one another. Let's wish one another Shabbat Shalom. On the chat, you can say where you're from. You can see where everyone's zooming in from tonight. Take a minute to do that, and you can put it in your own time. Have to wait for a chatterfall from this one. Nova Scotia and 2 blocks away from Rodef Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Indianapolis.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
California. Oh, that's right. The Allens are in California where they just welcomed their new grandson.
Mazel tov. Put mazel tov.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
How is he?
Oh, he's perfect.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I'm still here in Squirrel Hill for a little while longer. We turn now to our Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 29, Mizmor Shir, on page 22.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור.
Tzadik atamar yifrach ke'eretz balvanon yizkeh shetulim mevet Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yanun beseva dishenim verananim yiyu lahagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri velo havlat
page 28, we rise in body or spirit for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 31. Each one of us needs to make a decision about crossing. Do we cross? Do we stay where we are? This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, my sibling, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my friend, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim.
Avat olam beit Yisrael, amcha v'tzah, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, v'shofbenu v'kumenu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha. Ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'she'arecha leman tizkeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet.
As we prepare to sing Micha Mocha from this week's Torah portion, we'll have a little bit of the story leading up to it. Then Moses held out his arm over the sea, and the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind all that night and turned the sea into dry ground. The waters were split, and the Israelites went into the sea on dry ground, the waters forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. The Egyptians came in pursuit after them into the sea, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen. At the morning watch, the Lord looked down upon the Egyptian army from a pillar of fire and cloud and threw the Egyptian army into panic. He locked the wheels of their chariots so that they moved forward with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, "Let us flee from the Israelites. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Hold out your arm over the sea, that the waters may come back upon the Egyptians and upon their chariots and upon their horsemen." Moses held out his arm over the sea, and at daybreak the sea returned to its normal state, and the Egyptians fled at its approach. But the Lord hurled the Egyptians into the sea. The waters turned back and covered the chariots and the horsemen. Pharaoh's entire army that followed them into the sea, not one of them remained. But the Israelites had marched through the sea on dry ground, the waters forming a wall for them on their right and on their left. Thus the Lord delivered Israel that day from the Egyptians. And when Israel saw the wondrous power which the Lord had wielded against the Egyptians, they sang this song of rejoicing.
And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei feleh, Nora tehilot osei feleh. Malechutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze Elianu ve'amru, Ze Elianu ve'ameru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. ונאמר כי פטרנו את יעקב וגאלנו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Our people's nighttime prayer, Hashvivenu. Hashvivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashvivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashvivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
We continue on the next page with Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat Ledorotam berit olam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam leolam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai Et hashamayim ve'et haaretz Uvayom hashavi Shavat vayinafash.
Once again,
Now we rise.
in body or spirit for the tefillah, which begins with the meditation on page 46. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
ratzon imrefi vehegion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri
Our thoughts turn now to those in need of healing, those we know, those whose names we don't know. We do know there's so much suffering happening in the world right now. So we'll share a list of names of people we do know, invite you to add additional names into the chat. And following that, we'll have Misha Berach, but not the one that we're used to. Tonight we hold in our hearts for healing, body and spirit, Julie Arnheim, Rabbi Marcy Bellows, Millard Balloon, Alex Botkin, Howard Bregman, Alfred Brown, Brenda Buch, Olivia Burton, Frank Carl, Fran Conway, Hinda Sarabat Chana Pearl, Paula DeReamer, Debbie Duncan, Michelle Einstas, Jacob Eisenfeld, Marcia Gross, Piers Haggard, Donovan Hughes, Caleb Johnson, Naum Kaplan, Kenneth Karsh, Sylvia Kasparovsky, Lee Kramer, Judith Levison, Ann Mallinger, Miriam Bot Miriam, Lev Podorovsky, Dan Ramage. I think it's Dan Ramage, Ruth Rubenstein, Ann Kavalan Santoni, Chava Bela Batsara, Joan Shear, John Spear, Jackie Student, Judith Thompson, Howard Weiss, Abraham Twersky, Joan Weiss, and Doreen Zisla. Steve Woods, Sam Spitz, Helen Goodman, Ira Altschuler, Philip, Joy and Barry Slavin, Andy Kozer, Jimmy Weiser, Joel Berg, Eileen Mackenzie Summers, Lisa Rotunda, Nancy Wright, and Peggy Thomas, David Hauser, Diane McNeil, Jen W., Morris Reamer. Hold on just a second. Just want to make sure that I got everyone.
Also, Jean Carlson and Mary Beth Thomas.
Thank you. That's the last one. Okay.
So the Shabbat Shira is the yahrzeit of Debbie Friedman, whose music just changed the way that we sing in services. And usually we do Misha Berach by Debbie Friedman. The last piece that she wrote before she passed away was the Shalom Aleichem that you heard earlier. But today, at the request of Rodef Shira, because it's one of their favorites, we're going to offer Heal Us Now by Cantor Leon Scher, who was a very good friend of Debbie Friedman. Refa'enu Adonai v'nerafeh
as we've been saying throughout this service, that this Shabbat is a special one, Shabbat Shira, or the Shabbat of Song, named for its sacred readings. We do from the Torah reading. The Torah portion is the Song of the Sea that Moses and Miriam sang. They each sang a song of jubilation upon crossing the Sea of Reeds. And as we saw in the art that Olivia put up, it was Miriam's job to lead the dancing, and she had the forethought to take tambourines out of Egypt so that she could lead that dancing and singing. The Song of the Sea, as the Torah reading, is paired with another song. That one is from the book of Judges, the Song of Deborah, and that is another victory song from a victory centuries later. So not coincidentally, on this Shabbat Shira, we observe the 10th yahrzeit of Debbie Friedman. As Molly mentioned, she was the heart and soul, the miracle really behind the 20th century revolution in Jewish music and prayer. And as we sing the Song of the Sea and the Song of Deborah, we sing the iconic melodies of Debbie Friedman. We also this week celebrated Tu B'Shvat, the New Year for trees. And finally, Wednesday was International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This day was established by the United Nations in 2005, and it serves as an international reminder of the 11 million murdered and the untold million atrocities perpetrated by the Nazis. January 27th was chosen to commemorate the date that Auschwitz was liberated by the Red Army in 1945. We take note of another calendrical coincidence, as in two things that happen at the same time. This week, we acknowledge both the liberation of Auschwitz and our celebration of liberation from Egypt. My intention tonight is not to try to weave all of those events together into one story. And while it might be fun to try, it would probably be impossible to listen to. Instead, my goal is to lift up the importance of story and storytellers. The process of stories is how we remember who we are, where we came from, and what we stand for. The process of stories is the way in which our ideals and our teachings are passed down from one person to the next, from one generation to another, and the storytellers are the ones that make that happen. So let me introduce you to Serach Bat Asher. Now, if Eric Schaefer is on this at this service, no judgment here either way, but he's likely to be one of the few that knows who Serach Bat Asher is. We first meet Serach at the end of Genesis, where the names of the children of Israel who entered Egypt to escape the famine in Canaan are mentioned. So this is a list of Jacob's family, Joseph's family, that goes into Egypt because there's no food in Israel. And there are Asher's children are listed this way. Asher's sons, Yimna, Yishva, Yishvi, and Veriah, and their sister Serach. Serach is also listed in the genealogy of Israelites in the book of Numbers. So this means that somehow she has managed to live more than 400 years, going into Egypt, right? Staying there for the entire time before enslavement, the whole time of enslavement. And now she's one of those that goes out into the desert, and she's still there, Serach Bat Asher. Serach plays an important role in this week's Torah portion, although only in the Midrash, which I'll get to in a few minutes. But returning to the Torah text for a moment, the Torah tells us, now the Israelites went up armed out of the land of Egypt. And Moses, this is this coming out of Egypt, and Moses took with him the bones of Joseph, who had exacted an oath from the children of Israel right before he died, saying, this is in Genesis chapter 50, at the end of Joseph's life, when he has his sons and his brothers gathered around him, and he says, God will be sure to take notice of you. Then you shall carry up the bones from here with you. That is, when you are freed from whatever this thing is that you're going to be freed from, you need to take my bones with you, so bring them back to Israel, bring them up. Okay, so if you're listening closely, you probably have a few questions. One of which is, likely, who could possibly have remembered the promise Joseph's sons and brothers had made to Joseph all those years ago, right? Like, who's around? And even if someone remembered, how would they have known where to find the casket? We find the answer to both those questions in the Gemara. And here it is. And from where did Moses, our teacher, know where Joseph was buried? The sages said, Serach, the daughter of Asher, remained from that generation that initially descended to Egypt with Jacob. Moses went to her and said to her, do you know anything about where Joseph is buried? She said to him, the Egyptians fashioned a metal casket for him and set it in the Nile River as an augury so that its water would be blessed. It's like a charm, so that its water would be blessed. Moses went and stood on the bank of the Nile. He cried out, Joseph, Joseph, the time has arrived about which the Holy One took an oath saying, that is, I, God, will redeem you. And the time for fulfillment of the oath that you administered to the Jewish people that they would bury you in Eretz Israel has arrived. If you show yourself, it is good. But if not, we are clear from your oath. Immediately, the casket of Joseph floated to the top of the water. So Serach remembered, and Serach was the reason that Moses could find Joseph's bones and be able to carry them back into Israel. So I mentioned that she was at least 400 years old. There are some rabbinic teachings that Serach was in fact immortal. Even if she is immortal, she is the only one. And so the rest of us can't rely on Serach to know our secrets and to pass them on and to make sure that our story is continued. The rest of us are responsible for passing our stories from generation into generation in order to protect them. We become the storytellers. Thinking of stories and all the wonderful stories, I would recommend to you, if you don't already know about it, StoryCorps, which preserves and shares human stories. And you can look it up, and Olivia will probably put it in the chat at storycorps.org. Those are just general stories, but I want to talk about our Jewish stories. The transmission of our Jewish story is at the heart of our Passover Seder, and it is why we learn history and why we visit synagogues and Jewish communities all over the world, to learn and to pass on and to remember our Jewish stories. Passing on our Jewish stories is why we visit the death camps, given that this is International Holocaust Memorial Day. The transmission of our story is why we sing familiar melodies. Incidentally, those melodies, those ones like the Shema and the Aleinu, we call those melodies Sinai, melodies from Sinai, as if we got them at Sinai and they've been part of our story forever. Of course, they're not, but that's what we call them, from Sinai. Passing on our stories is why we name our children for our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents. And we teach in the ones of those who taught us. If we're teaching from someone's name, we say, in the name of my teacher. And we begin sentences with things like, my Aunt Rosie used to say, or she looks just like her father. It's a way to carry on our transmit our stories from generation to generation. So tonight, as we celebrate music and song, let's remember that behind each and every song, there is a story or a multitude of stories, and that each one of us has a role in passing down those stories, our own stories, as well as the stories of all of our Jewish ancestors, our traditions, our values, and our ideals. We are the storytellers, and we pass down Jewish stories. Shabbat Shalom.
Continue with Aleinu on page 282. And once again, we rise in body or spirit. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך 27. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Kaddish is on page 294. Another way we tell stories is by naming our loved ones who have died. This week we remember those who have died in recent days: Marcella Apter, Michael J. Belcher, Charlotte Bluestone, Bernita Bunny Buncher, Charlotte Cornwell, Yvette Catlin, Rami Kosowski, Ed Kraus, Patty Lando, Beatrice Perrer, Jean Robinson, Joanne Rogers, Chuck Schwartz, Sherman Shore, and Marshall Winnock. Jacob Jack Weinstein will be buried. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Jacob Jack Weinstein was buried today. We also remember those whose yahrzeit we observe on this Shabbat, who died at this season years past: Anita Dubner, Morton Feldman, Anthony Harrison, Marta Labby, David Heyman, Mary Neustadt Heyman, Fanny Lazar, Esther Palkovitz, Howard Rahm. Howard's birthday was also today, would have been today. Oscar Saperstein, Alan Selig. In addition, we remember Steve and Lynn Love, Hope Fromson, Fran Lefkowitz. Also in the larger world, Cicely Tyson, Cloris Leachman, and we also remember Norman J. Zabuski. May all their memories be for a blessing. Join together if you'd like to unmute. We get a chance to hear each other's voices. Each gadal,
Amen.
Shmei Rabba Yitzbarach, Ela Min Kol Shlama Rabba Min Ose Shalom Bimrom.
Hallelujah. Kol Yisrael. V'imu. Amen.
Amen.
Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Alinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Olivia here with some announcements for our week to come. All of the information and Zoom links and all of that can be found in the Shalomogram on Monday morning, and service information in the Friday morning email. If you're not receiving those and you'd like to, send me an email at tucker@rodefshalom.org, and we'll get you on the list. Our services continue tomorrow morning at 10:30. Yael Eads will be our Torah reader. After all of our services, we invite you to come off of mute and hang around in kibbutz. Tomorrow morning, Rabbi Henry leads this Torah study on Beshalach, the Parsha of the week here, and that's at 9:15. Classrooms Without Borders. We support their events, especially this coming week. The documentary Rain in Her Eyes, along with, which is the story of Devorah Omer, you can learn all about at the documentary. And on Thursday is a discussion with the director. The series, the workshop series on race and text focuses this week on The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman, and that's every other Wednesday. The Christian-Jewish Dialogue this Thursday. Note that there isn't Talmud class on Wednesday night. If you're looking forward to Rabbi Tuckman's Talmud class, it's canceled this month. But the Christian-Jewish Dialogue on Thursday will be focusing on ecological holidays. We celebrated Tu B'Shvat this week, which is sort of a Jewish Arbor Day. And I posed the question to those team, what are the Christian ecological holidays? And I was excited to hear their list, and I'm really excited to hear the conversation. So that's Thursday at noon if you're around. It's going to be very interesting. And if you're in the mood for some meditation, or you've always wanted to learn how to meditate, especially in a Jewish context, our friend Cantor Julie Newman is leading an introduction to meditation through a Jewish lens with the program Tiferet. And that starts 2 sessions, Wednesday, February 10th, and Saturday, February 13th. So a little bit ahead of time here. Go ahead and register. You'll be in for a real spiritual treat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I invite our president, Karen Breen, to share a report from the board.
Thank you, Olivia. First of all, thank you to the worship team, to Rabbi Henry for your words about storytelling, to Molly May, to Don McGahan, to Olivia. Oh, and to the May family singers, thank you so much. We really enjoy that. I just would like to take a moment of personal privilege to put in a plug for the choir and for Molly, who has been an amazing choir leader for the last 6 years, even keeping us going through the pandemic, finding a way for us to sing together. I will tell you, my husband has often said to me when I used to come home from choir practice, whether it was walking in the door or walking downstairs from being on Zoom upstairs, and he often says, "You're really happy afterwards." Not that I'm not happy other times, but I have to say that for all of us in the choir, I know that I speak for all of us about how much it's enriched our lives. So thank you so much. Thank you to choir members, and thank you so much to Molly and to Don. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
So we said that our service would have a few surprises. And one of the surprises is that your answers from the Chatterfall at the beginning of the service, it was actually a contest, and there were no rules, and this was just because I picked a winner because I felt like it. And one song is the winner and gets to be our closing song for the evening. And that song is Bashana Haba'ah by Nurit Hirsch, another amazing songwriter and storyteller. Bashana Haba'ah nesheb al hamirpeset v'nisfor ציפורים נודדות, ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד פעם, בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה.
I'd like to add my thanks to my colleagues, and Molly, a special appreciation to you for making the choir happen, and all the members of the choir for being so dedicated and game. You're also game. We make suggestions and you take them up, and we're really so proud to have such a wonderful group of people that is committed to the congregation and to music, and it's really a wonderful addition to our services. So thank you.
So we lift our cups for Friday night Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikrai kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And we invite Helene Berman to say the blessing over the challah.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And turn on your mics if you'd like, and how is your challah?
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Yeah.
Shabbat
Shabbos.
Shalom.
Shabbos.
Thank you, Rodef Shira.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shalom, everybody. Hope everybody has a nice day.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Carolyn Turner.
Thank you. Hi, how are you, Stanley?
I'm good.